The November 14th, 2022 regular Wasilla City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business to attend to during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you're participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless speaking. And when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to all attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located directly in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Velock.
Here.
Councilmember Rubio.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are participating with us in person in council chambers.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Velock, if you'd lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is approval of the agenda. Are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Brown, move to accept the agenda as printed.
A second. Thank you. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the agenda is approved. There are no special orders of the day, and we are on to commission and agency reports. Parks and Recreation Commission. Mr. Bell.
Through the mayor. Yes, reporting Wasilla Park and Rec Commission met November 9th. And at that, part of my staff report was my attendance to the Alaska Recreation and Park Association Conference that was held in Soldotna. Some of the topics that kind of stood out was the discussion on the Alaska Long Trail Coalition, which had 7 of 13 projects approved. The statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan known as SCORP. They're working on their 5-year. It's available online for review the month of November, and it should go live December, January. A lot of discussion and workshops on inclusive and adaptive playground design, and discussions regarding Soldotna just got a brand new field house approved for 42,000 square foot facility. Our Halloween Spectacular Monday at the Menard Center went great. We had about 250 people in attendance for a free public skate. And some of our upcoming events, we have a Learn to Skate Christmas Ice Show December 17th, and that'll be at the Menard Center. New Year's Eve fireworks, Skate the Lake in March, cleanup days will be in May, and Music in the Park, which is in the month of June. We'll be looking at going to a Saturday program, which will open up vendors and music things. So we will hopefully, with the group we're working with, make a scene. They anticipate they can probably double the participation with that event. So we're looking forward to see how that plays out. The Park and Rec Facebook currently has 2,979 followers. And we're going to be working on a potential kind of a marketing of the Wasilla parks. And we'll feature a different park each month and do a social media push, pictures, let people know what amenities and things that we have. So that will be coming next year. And currently, Seat D is still open. Seat C is expiring in December without anybody reapplying for that one. And let's see. Our next meeting will be January 11th, and that is my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Deputy Administrator Nygard.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a few questions of the director?
Sure.
Thank you. So, with the seats that are open, are those have to be filled by residents, or are any of those available to non-residents?
4 are city and 1 is borough. And one of them, so one seat that has been open is a city seat and the other is a borough seat.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. And the second question, you know, the federal money pot that seems to be overflowing, part of that is money that's available for retrofitting or taking advantage of opportunities for alternative energy. Is your department looking at all, working with Public Works to see if maybe we can take advantage of some of that money to do solar power or a wind generator or something like that out there?
That's nothing that's come up for me, not,
Okay.
I usually handle more of the programming side.
Yeah.
Public Works could probably address that if they've reached out or.
Well,
Through the mayor, we have not talked about any of those programs for Parks and Rec properties.
thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, next, we'll hear from Deputy Administrator Nygard on the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Planning Commission met last Thursday night. It was very quick, I think 17 minutes. It was very quick. But they got a lot done in that time. They approved a permit for some expansion of some warehousing up Wasilla Fish Hook. They also talked a lot about a vacant seat they have on planning, so they're gonna do some outreach for community members that would like to be a part of the Planning Commission. A landscape update. It does sound like our landscape review committee will extend that conversation for 6 months, and so they'll be bringing something forward for that. We talked about the SETS kickoff, which we had the first part of November, and some of the planning commissioners were able to attend, and so they had a lot of good information to share. And then planning is also looking at, we've got to update the hazardous mitigation plan. That's a plan required by the city every 5 years. It has to be up to date for any kind of grants that we're going to apply for. So Tina, the city planner, just gave them a quick update on the importance of that. And I think all of you, I did hand out a log. It's something that Council Graham had asked, Member Graham had asked before, so I will try to bring those each month when we do planning.
Thank you. And now, our last report is from Rochelle High School. Please come forward and state your name for us.
Kedian Lopez from Burchell High School, 11th grade representative. I apologize beforehand if I freeze or stutter. I am nervous and I've not done this before.
Oh, that's okay. We know, we've all been there, so you're okay.
I apologize for my unprofessionalism, but could someone please help me, walk me through what is to do here?
Just tell us what's happening at Rochelle High School. What's going on with you kids?
Well, recently we have done some door decorating competitions where students have decorated their doors for their homeroom doors for fall theme, but also incorporating things like the red ribbon. Able side won that. They had a pizza party. We are planning this Friday to both. Student council is going up to the church right next to Burchell to help set up and distribute Thanksgiving baskets for families who are unable to provide. And that same day we are planning a game night for the kids after school, just to hang around and have fun.
Okay, all right. Is there any questions from the council?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now we're on to public participation. There's 2 items scheduled for public hearing. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the first item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's resolution serial number 2221, ratifying a 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association, WPDEA, for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025.
The public hearing on resolution serial number 22-21 is open. Anyone who would like to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Evening. My name's Officer Hellman. I'm with obviously the Wasilla Police Department. I'm also the WPDEA acting president. Appreciate the City Council and Mayor for allowing me a few minutes of your guys' time. I also want to thank the people of the city for allowing us officers and dispatchers to serve them as friends and fellow community members. It's an honor and a privilege to do what we do, and it can really be easy to become cynical when we deal with the types of people we deal with on a daily basis. Last year, the association spent many hours and a lot of free time working towards making a comprehensive list of items that we wanted to see addressed and some concerns for this contract negotiation this year. Obviously, as with all negotiations, pay and benefits are at the top of the list. The last 2 years have been especially hard on our families with the sharp and dramatic increase in the cost of goods and services that most of us rely on for our daily activities and our livelihoods. We picked a team of people we thought would represent us well. That was Patrol Sergeant Jeff Shevland, Patrol Sergeant Don Ridge, Dispatch Supervisor Millie Avaletta, and Dispatcher Justin Shoemake. When the negotiations began, we trusted the process would produce a good contract. We believe that has happened. It was a very difficult negotiation, as a lot of times these negotiations can be. Lots of days and hours that were spent poring over numbers and language that needed work. And needless to say, there were some difficult days with many difficult conversations, but they were needed. Besides the out-of-control inflation rates, the members of the association have had to work tirelessly through severe staffing shortages, thousands of hours of overtime, and all during a pandemic. All the while, they've done their best, their job to the best of their ability to continue to provide an invaluable service to the citizens of the borough and the city. While pay and benefits are not the only metrics for bringing people into our ranks as dispatchers and police officers, they obviously are a very important part of that, and they should be considered seriously and going a long way to get the best and most competent and professional applicants for our positions. Prospective applicants should be able to look at our department and the MATCOM Dispatch Center and see a dispatch center and our first responders are taken care of. I believe that goes a long way and speaks a lot to who we are as a city and department. For many years, the association members have gone without step increases, meaningful raises, or competitive benefits. The last contract started the process of rectifying that. This contract, I think, goes even more in that direction. The contract was ratified by the association with a 41-4 vote. This is the highest turnout I've ever seen for voting on anything since I've been at the department. But every day that goes by without our contract being ratified, we're actually losing money based on the new benefits that we got into this contract. Before my time runs out, I do need to thank a few people real quick. Chief Long and Chief Rapson worked extremely hard at trying to not push, but explain our position in a meaningful way to the city. And I also need to thank Jacob. Jacob worked really hard, cares a lot about people. And then lastly, Joan Miller, the new finance director. Joan was very gracious during this negotiations process. After hearing all the stories about past finance directors and administrations and negotiations, I was a little bit worried about this process, but Joan was fantastic. And even though she's a numbers person, you can tell she cares about people. So I'll just leave you guys with this. I would highly recommend and push the council to please ratify this contract and reward our members for all their hard work. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt resolution serial number 22-21?
So moved by Councilman Johnson.
Second, Councilmember Velock.
It's been moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Velock to adopt resolution serial number 22-21. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Johnson.
in going over page, what would be in our handout, page 4 of the item, it's listing a pay increase of item A, and I read A, 7% scale increase for physical 23 plus 1 step, remove dispatch trainee classification. My current lookup online for the last year was 8%. I'm worried that we're not really keeping up with inflation, at least for police, and considering that we're already down 4 officers, I have a concern here that we're not actually bringing us up to the place where we should be as far as police officer hiring or possibly even retention. I was not part of the negotiations and don't really know, but it seems to me that that would be a little bit thin. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I move to postpone resolution serial number 2221 to the next regular city council meeting, which would be November 28th, due to the fact that we were just given this on Wednesday. And this process has been going on for almost a year to give us time to examine that. We as council members give time to examine it. Thank you.
Okay, we will take a vote on the,
Needs a second.
okay, sorry, second. Is there a second? So it dies for lack of a second. So we'll continue. Is there a discussion? Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor, if the financial director could just give us a synopsis addressing the raise and how this all came about.
Council through the mayor. So, yeah, when we started this process, we looked at the vacancy rates that, I mean, PD and dispatch had not had filled positions in 3 years. So we looked at turnover, that appeared to be mostly retirement or what we considered life changes. So there wasn't a competition for us on those. So we focused our efforts on recruitment. It is a difficult time because of the current inflation rate. However, arriving at what you're seeing here is a 7% increase. So most employees at the city received a 2% CPI increase. That was sort of the golden standard. So if you had followed in accordance with that, this would be a 5% increase above what might be normal and customary. Typically with CPI, it's deferred. So it's a deferred benefit. So we look at CPI and take a 3-year average, but it's after the fact. So the high inflation rates that you're seeing now are going to circle back around next year when we calculate that CPI. So I do feel that the inflation that we're feeling this year is going to be repaid to the employee. It's just over time. We did look with the increase, kind of the back of the envelope calculation, I feel that this places us 4th in the core community, meaning AST, APD, Anchorage Police and Fire, and then you have Wasilla. And I guess kind of taking the Alaska Airlines approach, if they were gonna be the top 5 airline in the United States, they felt they should be the top 5th highest paid in the United States. So I feel like we're competitive now. And of course, we pay 100% currently, the city pays 100% for insurance, which a lot of those other entities, that's not the case. So that's how I feel like we're where we need to be to support recruitment and retention.
One other question, Madam Mayor. To the chief, do you feel this will enhance your ability to maintain retention level?
To Councilmember Brown through the mayor, I'm in support of the contract. We worked hard with it. It's a key component to it, but is it the sole component? No. I think there's a lot of decisions that internally we can make as a department that can help with that recruiting, with attracting laterals, addressing with laterals experience with that, in which we have already started to do that. With this, it does help for sure to be competitive. especially with our surrounding agencies that are very similar for call volumes that we are currently dealing with and continue to deal with. Like I had mentioned, it's a key component, but it's not the sole component, and there's a lot of things that are kind of already in the workings that have been taking place that have been positive outcomes with that so far.
Thank you. And one last one, Madam Mayor. To the dispatch, and I mean, again, pay is great, but I know with dispatch, there's a lot of burnout and stuff. Is this gonna aid you in any kind of way for your retention concerns?
Councilmember Brown through the mayor. Yeah, this is with the elimination of the dispatch trainee position, that essentially brings us up to a starting pay that is competitive with surrounding dispatch centers throughout South Central Alaska. So with the approval of this contract tonight, that would basically put our dispatch starting pay and benefits package, I believe, pretty competitive.
Thank you.
Jacob, state your name for the record.
Jacob Butcher.
Okay, Colleen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, stay on the line. Just wanted to, first of all, thank you and thank our WPD and those that were involved with the negotiations. I know I've watched it over the years and certainly do appreciate all the work that's done from both sides. And it's timely. I think after the pandemic, I think a lot of people have felt the sting of that pandemic, and we know too that we've seen our officers out on the streets working morning, noon, and night. So we definitely appreciate that. So just to clarify, July 1st is the retroactive date then for salaries, and then other changes that will be becoming effective upon ratification, which would be tonight's vote. Can you clarify then what would be happening going forward with the ratification of this contract, please?
To Councilmember Sullivan Leonard through the mayor, just to clarify, is you want an explanation on what there'd be retro on?
No, retro is payroll, I
Yes.
understand that part. I'm just saying, you know, as we move forward from here, what are the other parts of the contract that our WPD and dispatch will see?
You know, the biggest thing that I liked it in there, and I was a push when I was appointed the chief position back in June, was bringing back the education incentive. I think, you know, that's a lot of promoting that, bringing it back, because I remember back in 2006, we had it when I was hired on. At some point during that time frame, it was removed from the contract, and we just recently brought it back. We have an increase in incentives of being FTO pay, I believe.
We went for half an hour to an hour and a half.
And then some other incentives that would recognize the officer's individual training and experience. For dispatch, we increased the physical incentive, where we included dispatch in with that physical incentive, where they're allowed to do that $750 incentive now. And I'm just kind of sorry, I'm going off of memory. I don't have the contract right in front of me. And then a lot of it would just be starting to be comparative with keeping the health insurance at 100%. A lot of those things I'm able to recruit and market that when we're out doing our recruiting efforts, of that we're maintaining to be competitive with a lot of the personnel that APD and AST are getting. We're trying to attract those individuals that won't want to drive to APD or won't want to be sent out to the bush, and just to get the applicants through the door is kind of what we're looking at, because right now we've been receiving very limited number of interest for applicants for a long time, and so there's been some shifts that I've been doing to try to increase that. So I think by promoting this contract and the benefits that it has, it's going to help.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Chief.
Okay.
Nikki?
Madam Mayor, okay, maybe this is for Joan. Just some clarification. It says 7% average CPNI, and it has plus one step. And I don't really know exactly how WPD works on steps. Do they get so many hours and they get a step increase, and so many hours and step increase? Do they get this step increase just an automatic every year, everyone at the same time? Or do their hours of work make a difference? Could you clarify that, please?
Sure, to Councilmember Velock through the mayor. So the step happens annually at the end of the fiscal year, and presuming a good performance, I think, well, this actually, it's automatic. So as long as they're employed, which would deem them in good standing, they would receive a step to the next level on the grade.
Okay, which is a raise too. They get a step increase. So it could be more than a 7%, but do they top out after so many steps, or does this typically just go on? Or?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the steps, I believe there's roughly
17.
17 of them.
Oh, okay.
And so at the end of that, you would no longer step, and you would be subject to whatever CPI or grade scale increase occurred at that time.
Okay, and everyone just kind of gets that at the same time every year, end of the fiscal year. Okay, thank you.
And that's page 60 in the packet.
It's page 60. I missed it.
Okay, is there any other, Mr. Graham?
Thank you. So at the beginning of the staff summary, it talks about, the real urgency here is the ability to attract and retain, qualified persons for the job. And you have mentioned several times, talking about, how the contract makes it easier for you to do that. But the only thing that you've addressed is money. Is that the only thing that we need to attract more people, is to pay them more? I mean, that's what I'm seeing here. I don't see any real changes to PTO. I don't see any real changes to health insurance. I don't see any changes in benefits. Is money the only thing that we need to hire better cops, Chief? Is that what you're saying by asking us to ratify this?
I think money is to Councilmember Graham through the mayor, money is always going to be a key component. It always will be. But I also have read that, just matter of fact, I was reading an article today, is that for a list of officers that are asked if incentives like a hiring bonus is a #1 priority to them, typically in through the International Association of Chief of Police, they've been finding that it's actually the 6th most populated, or the most popular item that's on for somebody to apply for a department, is the incentive is the number 6 on that list, for lack of try to explain. What they're finding is that pay is obviously going to be a factor, but it's also about job opportunity, about what kind of opportunity are they going to have inside that police department. Right now, we are at critical staffing levels, and there is no opportunity. The opportunity is that you're working patrol. The opportunity is that we're forcing individuals to come in on their day off to work. To provide that opportunity is very limited. We have SRO positions that I've unfortunately had to cancel and pull just to support the patrol function. I have the the Department of Public Safety wanting to increase their investigators to work on a drug unit. I don't have the bodies to support that. I have the school district wanting more SROs. I don't have the bodies to support that. And that's the opportunity that I think that people are looking for. And I just think getting the staffing level back up to where they need to be, it starts accommodating that personal need that the officers want to work, is to have that job opportunity within the department. I think a lot of it is that their family, the health benefit is a big factor of it. And of course, the money is going to be a big aspect of it. We are in a unique situation. We have 10,000 roughly people that are in the city of Wasilla, but we service 115 to 125 around here that come in and do our retail shops. You start looking at the population base of officer per capita people in the city, it's going to show that we're top heavy. There's nowhere in the state that I can find that with something similar. You can't have, it's hard for us to compare to APD and AST and, all the other aligning communities, because we're in a unique position, and we are the ones that have to set that precedence of, we are growing out here, and the Matsu borough is growing. And that's how we're gonna be able to attract, is how we take care of the employees from a money aspect, but also from a benefit aspect and just a job opportunity aspect. I think that's how we're gonna get the retention and the recognizing the training of experience for doing lateral programs, and that's how we move forward.
I appreciate that, Chief, but I'm not sure you really answered my question. What is it gonna take to get more officers on the street? I mean, this only addresses money, and obviously, you know, you can't move officers around when you need folks on patrol. But so how are we gonna get those initial officers? Is that something that the city council needs to address through a separate pot of money someplace, or is that something that is purely going to be addressed internally by the police department or in the administration, or you know, I mean, is this contract here, which you're putting before us today, is this going to be sufficient to waylay potential recruits or transfers, concerns about pay rates?
To Councilmember Graham, through the mayor, I come down from Colorado. I come up from Colorado, and from even from the standpoints that down there, they are the nation is having recruiting issues nationwide. Nobody has the magical answer of how we're going to fix this. How we're going to fix this is changing the culture of making it appealing for an officer wanting to apply with WPD other than Palmer, other than AST or APD. And that is changing the little things that we have control over. Is this going to be the foolproof plan to get the recruitments? I don't think so. I don't think any department in the United States is having that. I think it's a huge step in the right direction. And with that, is this going to take some vigilant work to be aggressive on recruiting and getting the officers out there to attract those individuals. Community outreach programs, going out and talking about laterals. To answer that, if this contract is going to be the floodgates of applicants, that's hard to tell. I can tell you that for the first time today, I have 9 applicants right now that have applied. Most of them were this weekend, and it's really promising on a lot of them are laterals. And I don't think that's just a coincidence. I think it's been very known that we're changing our shift and how we recruit people, and it's word's getting out that we're doing this, that we're taking a proactive approach to bring in qualified individuals, or at least give them the opportunity to look at them.
Yeah, thank you. And a second question, or second topic, I suppose, third question maybe, regarding union membership. I mean, obviously there was a Supreme Court ruling a couple of years ago that talked about, you know, public employees belonging to unions, and different departments in the state are doing it differently. So when a new person signs on to your department, are they automatically enrolled in the union and then they have to opt out? Or is it where they are explained the benefits of union membership and they opt in?
Well, you're gonna tap my memory from the creation of when I did WPDA years ago. With the Janus decision that had come out, you were not obligated to be underneath a union representation. I think the WPDA president, Ryan Hellman, can probably correlate that a little bit better than I can. I believe if they want to opt out of that, then they have to give notice in writing to opt out of that. But I am not up to speed on that, or my memory may be lacking in that department.
So then that would mean they're automatically enrolled in the union and then they can opt out?
I believe so.
Is that true?
Joan Miller, Finance Director to Councilmember Graham through the mayor. So, and we do this in payroll, so it's kind of second nature for us. But we receive an authorization from the employee stating that they are wanting to join the union and granting us the authority to make those deductions for dues.
Yeah. And please don't assume that I'm anti-union. I very much support the union, but I think we need to do things the legal way, and if you two think it's legal, then I'm good with that. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please take a roll call vote on the adoption of resolution serial number 22-21.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Velock,
Yes.
Rubio.
Yes.
Motion to adopt resolution serial number 2221 passes unanimously with council members Sullivan, Leonard, Graham, Johnson, Brown, Velock, and Rubio in support.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the second item scheduled for public hearing.
Ordinance serial number 2236, amending the fiscal year 2023 budget by appropriating $240,000 from the sewer fund balance for replacement of the Cottonwood Creek Mall septic system.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 22-36 is open. Anyone who would like to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 22-36?
Madam-
Madam Mayor? Oh. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. No. Madam Mayor, I move ordinance serial number 2236.
Is there a second?
Second, Councilman Johnson.
Madam Mayor, point of order. I need to declare that I am an employee of the Alaska Club. I'm an unpaid employee of the Alaska Club. I do safety inspections for them. In exchange, they allow me to use the club. However, I don't feel that I have a conflict of interest, but I need to put that on the record and have a decision made.
Is it up to the council?
Do you think he has a conflict?
No. So you're able to vote on this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, so this is Cottonwood Creek Mall. Is that different than the Cottonwood Creek Plaza? 'Cause I thought that was the Cottonwood Creek Plaza.
And you, if I may,
Yeah.
Councilperson Velock, you are correct. It is Cottonwood Creek Plaza, and there is also another error on the staff summary here where it says the proposed action is to introduce and set the ordinance. That's not the case. We're approving it, but you are correct. It is
Okay,
not the mall.
I thought maybe the Target Mall is still considered Cottonwood Creek Mall. I'm not sure. That's what I was wondering.
That is still the
kind of what
legal
is-
description of
Is
the
it, so
Target.
maybe this is for the Cottonwood Creek Mall?
No, this is for Cottonwood Plaza in
This
front
is
of
for the plaza.
There's an 11,000 gallon septic storage tank in front of the Alaska Club, which the city owns. And this is to make repairs, or actually to replace that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Sullivan Leonard and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to adopt ordinance serial number 22-36. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance serial number 22-36.
Thank you. Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Velock,
Yes.
Rubio,
Yes.
Sullivan, Leonard.
Yes.
The motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2236 passes unanimously with councilmembers Sullivan, Leonard, Graham, Johnson, Brown, Velock, and Rubio in support.
We are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. And Jeannie Trzynski is the first one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeannie Trzynski, President, Friends of Wasilla Library. I just want to talk about a few things that we have going on at the library. We had a great history night. We did a silent auction of some of the books that were donated to us that are pretty incredible, and it was very successful. And we had a lot of folks show up that just were interested in hearing about our Alaskana section, so that was really fun. It turned out to be a really great event, and we're looking at doing that again in the springtime. And it is just wonderful to see people excited about what's available in our collection at the library. Our book club continues to be popular. Our book for this month was Factfulness, which I highly recommend. It's by Hans Rosling, and he talks about why the world is not as bad of a place as we all tend to think that it is, and how we can look at facts and really address facts in a factful way. And it's 10 great suggestions. I really highly recommend it. Our book for December is a novelette, meaning it's a short book instead of a long book. And it's All Systems Red. It's part of the Murderbots diaries, and it's a really fun sci-fi read. The author, Martha Wells, is really a phenomenal award-winning sci-fi author. So if you like sci-fi, we have copies of the book available at the front desk. The Friends of the Library purchase 6 copies of the books for our book club, and we make them available to the public. And we've really, they keep getting checked out faster than people can read them, so that's pretty exciting. Actually, we think that's been a really great positive of the book club too. The story walk is going along wonderfully. We are seeking business and community support for the books. The books are costing between $200 and $400 each to put into the story walk because we're trying to really preserve them. We're laminating them before we put them in there so that hopefully we'll be able to reuse them. And we're looking at some other places around the state that also have story walks to try and share our books with so that they can use the same books. So if you know any businesses or groups that might want to support the story walk, let me know and I can reach out to them with some information. Our used book sales continue to be popular the second Saturday of the month, except not in December or July, because we've decided as volunteers we need a couple of months off in the year. 1 to 4 at the library. Last month, October, was our biggest sale ever. We made $807 on a Saturday, which is crazy because that was 12 carts of books cleared out. And they estimate between 200 and 400 books can fit on a cart, so just think in your head how many books went out, so that was awesome. And finally, one of our really fun activities that's coming up in February is Blind Date with a Book, and you check out a book that's wrapped in brown paper, and you have to agree to spend 10 minutes with your date. And if you don't like it, well then okay, you can turn it back in without spending the whole time with the date, but you get to put your name in a drawing, and the friends purchase some really phenomenal prizes for the Blind Date with a Book. So February, come and check out a great book. Otherwise, just come check out the library. It's just beautiful, and there's always great things going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Mary Robinson.
Sorry, I'm walking a little slow. I sat down and watched Wakanda Forever for 2 hours and 41 minutes before I came to the council meeting. So I'm a little stiff. Good evening, Mayor Ledford and council members. My name is Mary Kay Robinson, also known as Randy Robinson, city resident and part-time city employee. I want to thank the Department of Public Works for clearing the library sidewalks and paths and throughout the city. When Mr. Giddings was with Public Works, he always did a superb job. At the time, I was on the Parks and Recs Commission, and I always said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Archie. It just goes a long way towards making our city more livable. And now that I'm working part-time at the library, as I watch families struggle to get out of their cars and wrangle the little kids and people with disabilities and older people, etc. It just really makes a difference. So thank you to Public Works for keeping the paths clear for both the library and throughout the city. I'd also like to speak in support of Ordinance Serial 2237, which is amending the 2023 budget to accept and appropriate dollars for the Matsu Youth Court budget. As I've appeared before you before, you know I advocate for youth and seniors, and I just think it's a wonderful thing, and I hope you do indeed accept the money for the 2023 Youth Court budget. And I know I'm not going to get back into the whole grant thing, but I think we've all spoke about how we miss former Mayor Cottle, Bert Cottle. So I made my generous by my income standards, but still a donation in memory of Bert to both Wasi and my house. And he was a great person, and I think we all miss him for one reason or another. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Randy. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council at this time? Come forward, state your name, please.
My name is Rebecca Lopez, and I'm not within city limits. I'm a borough resident. I happen to be here because of the young man from Burchell as my son. He also happens to be the first child born at MatCom to one of the dispatchers. I'm no longer a city employee, so I feel free to answer your question, Mr. Graham, on why you are not getting the recruits that you need. There is a highly increased number of deaths in police officers since 2020, and the likes that have not been seen before. And I know because I used to put those numbers together when I worked for the city of Bethel to put on a memorial service honoring all the fallen. And there is a culture right now that is anti-police. And until the noise gets louder in the opposite direction, why would they trade the value of their life for what they could make at another employment? That's safer, that they come home at the end of the night without the evil of the world resting on their chest, without having to take the nightmares of the people they couldn't save into their dreams. Why, if you are not the ones who are speaking up to change that culture, would they want to work for you? And that's a question for the entire nation. That is not just a question for the city of Wasilla. And until you can start being a voice in favor of the officers, the dispatchers, and to show a change in culture, you will continue to have this problem. Sorry, I just felt very strongly, and I happened to be here on accident today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none? Then our next item is consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the items for approval under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have the regular meeting minutes, October 24, 2022. We have 3 introductions with the recommended public hearing date of November 28, 2022. The first is ordinance serial number 2237, amending the fiscal year 2023 youth court budget by accepting and appropriating $5,000 from the Matsu Health Foundation and $10,000 from the MEA Charitable Foundation for costs associated with continuing legal education for the Matsu Youth Court Program. Ordinance serial number 2238, repealing Wasilla Municipal Code Chapter 5.24 entitled Grant Programs in its entirety. Ordinance serial number 2239, amending the fiscal year 2023 budget by appropriating $39,355 from the general fund balance for repairs to the Matcom light pole and privacy fencing from the January 2022 windstorm. We have a resolution up for approval, resolution serial number 2220, accepting reimbursement from the Matanuska-Susitna Borough in the amount of $161,904.10 for the generator replacement project at the Matcom Dispatch Center. And lastly, an AM for approval, AM number 2241, contract amendment to HDL Engineering Consultants in an amount not to exceed $723,329 for airport master plan and apron e-design services.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved by Councilman Johnson.
Is there a second?
Second by Mr. Graham.
It has been moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Graham to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. There is no unfinished business or new business this evening, so we'll directly move to communications. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the item under communications.
It's the Airport Advisory Commission meeting minutes, October 20th, 2022.
We are now at audience comments, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I'm Jessica Vieira. I'm the CEO of the Greater Wasilla Chamber of Commerce. I know a lot of you, some of you I don't. I just wanted to share with you our Support Local November campaign that we are running currently. We have 49 participating businesses. It's all online this year. Most of these are Wasilla-based businesses. Some are a little further outside city limits. But you shop local, you earn points, support our local small businesses, do great things in our community, and we have a lot of great prizes to give away at the end of the month. I gave away our first one today. We have weekly drawings. It's fantastic. November is our supporting local in many ways. We also do our first responder appreciation lunch deliveries in November. Next week, I believe they are already. Coming up, we deliver to WPD, state troopers, everybody else, show our appreciation, our business's appreciation for our local first responders. Those of you who haven't engaged with the chamber, we would look forward to seeing you at our meetings. We meet the first and third Tuesdays of every month at Evangelos from noon to 1, and we would love to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the city council? Seeing none. We are now at mayor, clerk, attorney, and council comments. Please keep your closing remarks limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just thought I would clarify in case there was question, because I was contacted offline by a couple different people. So on resolution serial number 2221, that was under public hearing this evening, requirement is in code to have a public hearing on the collective bargaining agreement upon ratification. Does not require an introduction. So in most cases, when you see things under public hearing, you've introduced them at one meeting and then a public hearing at the next. So as long as I can get it in the notice of public hearing, which is required under state statute, moving forward, continuing as tonight, you will see that item not through the introduction process, but going directly to public hearing. So unless there's objection, we'll continue with that. And then Saturday, November 19th, here we have a special meeting, strategic planning. That should be from 10 to 4. And I believe lunch will be provided, Ms. Nygard. And then next regular meeting, we will see you all here November 28th. And so everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I won't see you until after Thanksgiving holidays. And then next week, I do plan to take off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the Thanksgiving holiday. I'll be available by cell phone or email if needed. So thank you all.
Madam Attorney.
I don't have anything. We have several projects going, so if anybody has questions, you can let us know, but nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to share today. Thank you.
Councilmember Velock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No comment.
Councilmember Johnson.
Madam Mayor, thank you. I do want to express the thanks for the work on the contract for the police department and our dispatchers. I don't want to leave anybody out there. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I still feel that we need to do some additional work, maybe in terms of how we approach the recruitment, because I think you said, Chief of Police, that we're down 4 officers out of 28, if I remember. Do I have the correct number on that? Which would be about 15%, which is quite a bit of.
To Councilmember Johnson, through the mayor, we are currently down 3 positions right now. We just recently hired 2. Last week we were down 5, but we are currently down 3 right now with the 2 that we just hired on just recently. And we all have a total, we are allocated for a total staffing with everybody involved with the PD at 32 individuals.
So we're still down then 10% is what you're saying. And we were, short of the recruiting that you've just done with the 2, we were at over that. Okay, that still is of concern to me. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Rubio.
No comment tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Couple questions, just to follow up with the chief on Councilmember Johnson's question there. We have a recruit graduating this month from Sitka, is that correct? And the new folks that you just brought on, are they qualified or are they going to training? Or, I mean, are they laterals? Or could you?
To Councilmember Graham through the mayor, we have one recruit, Ashley Duane will be graduating Friday in Sitka. I will be down there for that along with Lieutenant Rader. The two that we had just hired both have lateral experience. One is a 3-year county sheriff deputy from Northern California. And then the other one is a 13-year Boulder County Sheriff Deputy plus a 2-year Palmer Police Officer here. So he'll be very minimal training involved with him, but the California Trenton will have to go to the Sitka Recertification Academy that is set for February.
Okay, great. Thank you for the update there. 'Cause I know a lot of times we'll hire people, but we can't really put them to work until they've been through the academy, which is, sometimes a 6-month process to make that work. And congratulations to Officer Ashley there. I hope you'll extend all of our congratulations and thanks for her volunteering to do that job and getting qualified and ready to do that. I did ask our attorney prior to the meeting if she could perhaps give us a short update on what your firm has been finding out about putting these essential sexual offender halfway houses in the middle of residential programs. Could you give me a brief update on that?
I can. I'm not going to be able to remember what month it was, Madam Clerk, but we did introduce an ordinance trying to establish safety zones. This is kind of the term that's used around the issue. And then at the meeting it was introduced at, we paused to seek an Attorney General's opinion. We have tried through 3 different avenues to secure an Attorney General opinion. We're not getting one. So it is kind of floating at this point, whether council picks it back up and we move forward based on further legal analysis and advice, or if we try to hold out. Odds aren't looking good for getting an Attorney General opinion. We're not getting any response. So that's where it's at right now.
Could we work with the governor's office to get some top-down pressure on that?
We sent our last letters to the governor. So yes, I mean, we can continue to ask, and we can continue to ask in a variety of ways, but we did address the governor as our last step. We kind of got pushed from channel to channel, and it was our last letter.
And without an AG opinion, can we move forward with the legislation, or do you feel uncomfortable with it?
We can. We would want to do more legal analysis and just make sure we shore ourselves up. We had done that. We had drafted the ordinance, and because you would be the first municipality putting one in place, we wanted to understand what the state's position was on it from an exposure perspective, because it would be great to have not necessarily sign off, but at least an understanding of what they believe their jurisdiction to be, because the Department of Public Safety governs both the sexual offender registry system in the state and probation. And those are the 2 other statutory push and pulls that they could argue kind of usurp jurisdiction to do this kind of thing. And because you're the first, and it's odd that you're the first, we wanted to kind of know what their thoughts were. So our perspective on it would be to firm up the legal research, make sure that we're very clear on our basis and where we think the lines of those jurisdiction are without the benefit of an Attorney General opinion, and then move forward from there, and council could consider what we produce.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the update. Look forward to
Mr. Graham, if I could go ahead and segue from that.
Please do.
That's an ordinance that I had been working on with our legal counsel, so I appreciate you bringing that up for discussion. At some point, we may want to bring it forward, but again, I was also waiting from the Attorney General with input, and I think from what I had heard was that they didn't feel like it was part of their jurisdiction from the state level to impose on what the local governments wanted to do in this area. And as you've stated, we're kind of breaking ground in a way that no one has done before. And there's a lot of legal implications all involved in that. So I haven't dropped it. I'm just waiting to hear back on what we can or cannot do. I don't want to bring something forward and then have us get slapped down pretty hard because it's not constitutional. So anyway,
and I appreciate that. I didn't mean to imply that you had dropped it. I just wanted us all to be on the same page and at the same rung on the ladder, so to speak, so that we can work together to make that happen. So thank you, Madam Attorney, and thank you, Councilperson Leonard. For the Public Works Director, your Airport Advisory Committee meeting minutes talk about the questionnaire that HDL was providing for the airport master plan update. Was that only given to folks in the aviation community, or did you know what the distribution of that was, or? And I saw Deputy Administrator Nygard shaking her head if she thinks she's better to answer. I have no objection.
Through the mayor. So HDL provided on-the-ground surveys with the users, but it was also through through our website and through some other public outreach that we put together. So we focused on the users of the airport directly, but it's also open to the public through our website, through the data collection that we have.
And is the data collection complete on that, do you know, or?
It is not yet complete, and we will be discussing a public meeting in December as well.
And if persons wanted to participate in that questionnaire, they could go
to the city website.
To the city website. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then also, as long as you got the mic out, next week we'll be talking, or 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about replacing the privacy fencing in front of Matcom there. What was put in front of us just talks about replacing it. Are we keeping that privacy fencing and then selling it off through our disposal? Because that's some expensive stuff. With all the privacy slats in there. Are we keeping that and disposing of it? Is the contractor keeping that? Do you know?
I'll have to do some research on how much is being removed. The project is to replace it, so it'll be salvaged as possible. I don't know what needs to be removed and replaced, but I can get you that answer.
Okay, yeah, because that's some spendy stuff, and it's in demand. Just ask the mayor. I mean, she'll tell you what that stuff costs. So it goes from there. So. Thank you all. I also want to thank you, Ms. Lopez, for speaking up. I think you'll find that this council is always receptive to whatever ideas you have. We can't always move forward on ideas, but the more specifics, the better, and specifics don't start without a general question. So look forward to seeing you and your son here more in the future, and hearing any sort of specifics that you may have to help us. But I share your concerns 100%. As a society, we tend to listen to the naysayers and not to those that are doing well. So thank you for being here, Ms. Lopez, and to others who testified. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if it's appropriate, but since the last council meeting, Crystal put an excellent seminar on, and I wondered if she could just inform the city of what she did and what she's doing for the city.
You, Councilmember Brown, through the mayor, thank you very much. That was really an effort of a lot of different constituents that have been wanting to have a conversation about economic development and being very intentional about where we're going to put our energy and put our investments based on the priorities of the city and based on private and public coming together and creating a story that is really compelling. It's also understandable to a third grader. Where are we going? How are we going to get there, and use our strengths and not focus on the weakness all the time, but also be honest with where's our threats and where's our opportunities. We had 111 that attended. 80% were private sector and 20% public sector. We were a little hesitant about how we were going to get them to all stay in the room to do the SWOT analysis and the engagement, which is really the activity. But we put all the dessert on the far end of the room. And then once they completed the activity, they got the dessert. And so it was really a great strategy, and it paid off great. And so thank you again for all of your support in going forward. The Economic Development Administration out of Seattle said they have not been in a room with that much energy and that much private engagement in the whole time they've been doing the SEDS up here. And so I said, well, that's because we're ready to go. And we just need you to sign all this paperwork. So thanks again. I think you guys will see some great results as we move forward, especially some of the challenges we have with infrastructure cost and how we can access some new capital based on that process. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks to the mayor for giving a Veterans Day speech, even though she talked for a long time in very, very cold weather.
I was fast.
And again, I'm glad to see us pass the contract for the police department. And thank you, ma'am, for those words, because people don't realize that police officers come from citizens and come from the attitude that citizens have about police. And the whole nation is hurting, and pay is not the final answer to the question. The state troopers just was paying a $20,000 bonus, and they still came up short. So paying a bonus is not the answer to it either. It's an attitudinal, citizen attitude change that's required to make a difference in law enforcement. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I may, I forgot one thing during my comments. As we're all aware, AML conference is coming up. It's Wednesday through Friday, the first week of December. However, past presidents of AML are going to meet on Tuesdays, so I would like the council without objection to approve my attendance on Tuesday.
To clarify, did you want to check in Monday night?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then you're checking out Saturday because you have commitments
Yeah,
Friday?
yeah, Friday night we have the board meeting.
Is there?
No objection. No objection here.
Madam Mayor? One other item, and I just saw this for the meeting on the 19th of November here. The time of the meeting is stated at 10 p.m. I believe that is 10 a.m.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
She might be giving a speech.
Madam Mayor, reference the next couple of meetings, I will be out of town. We're doing a teleconference for the 19th and the 28th or whatever.
Yep, 28th, next regular meeting.
Mr. Graham, there was no objection from the members?
Kept away.
So, anyway, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. I will be out of town visiting my family. So I will do telephonic on the 19th, but I'll be back for the 28th. So with that, we are adjourned at 7:07.